Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Muhammad Tanvir Mahatab. I'm one of your lab faculties of CSE461, and in this video we'll see how you can add camera and then detect certain objects by using your camera. So the detection won't be as advanced as the typical image processing that we have seen in lots of places, but rather your camera will enable you to detect certain objects, that this object exists in in your frame. So for that, what I'll be doing is I'll be using an environment. I have a separate video where I've showed the example on how I created this environment. And basically, if that is not available to you guys, then I'll just explain. I've already created the cones and the floor and stuff, and this is just a robot which can just move around, and it has got some sensors right in front of it, so that if it comes in front of any object, it detects it as an obstacle and it changes its course. So that's basically it, what it normally does. So for now, what I'll do is I will I will add a camera, but for that I think I will add a pole on top of this robot, and then I'll place the camera on that pole. So let's see. So for creating a pole, I'll go inside robot, I'll go inside children, and I will create a solid. So let's go to base notes, let's go to solid, added a solid. Let's go inside solid, let's search for the children inside of it, and let's add a shape to it. These are very normal typical things that you have seen before, so there's nothing really different to explain. So I'll just try to do it as fast as possible. I'll create a pole. So I think the pole, I'll make it a pole which looks like a box. Okay, so now I'll give it an appearance. I'll change the color of it. Let's say I'll give it an orange color. Alright, so I'm done with this. Now in the geometry section, let's just change the size of it. So let's give it a size of 0.02. Let's see if it's 0.03, if it's alright or not. 0.25, and let's give it a size of 0.02 as 03 as well. And as you can see, the pole is really long, so we need to pull it up. So let's go to the translation, and since it needs to go up, so we need to change the y-axis, as you can see over here. So let's go over there, and let's change the values. Sorry, let's change it again. Actually, I think we are changing the wrong parameters over here, but over here I think if you select on this, the solid object, and yeah, so if you select on this object, then let's just try to pull it. I'm sorry, I think I selected the robot, but let's select the solid. Let's pull it upwards, but I think it's all right. It looks fine, so there's nothing more that we need to do to it. Anyways, I'll just try to add a camera to it, and then let's see what happens. So for adding a camera, I just created this pole, and what I want to do is I want to add a camera right in this section or somewhere around this place. So for adding a camera, we need to add a camera module. So since we'll be adding a camera inside on this thing, so we will go inside solid, and for adding this camera, we'll just click on this over here in this shape, and go to plus base notes and add a camera over here. So the camera is placed right in this section, so we'll go inside camera. I'll just close this up. We'll go inside camera, and over here we can change a lot of things. We can translate, we can rotate, and there are a lot of parameters that you can change. But let's see, let's translate the camera and see and place it in a decent position. So I'll just see the nodes of the solid of the shape. I think it's 0, 0, 0, and it's in the default position. So I'll just place it in this position as well. I'll just pull it back up a little bit. Okay, it's changing a lot. Let's 0.1. It's going down, so let's change these values a little bit more. So what I need to do is I need to pull the value of y a little bit, yep, and push it to the x direction, yeah, to this direction, so that's the x-axis. So let's try to do it. So in the positive x side, so 0.001, let's see what happens. So the camera is placed in this position. However, let me try to pull it back a little bit more up. So this is a bit time consuming, so you guys can fast forward this part because I'm just changing it so that it's easier for me to get a perfect position for the for my camera. So I think it's right inside of it. So I'll try to change the position of it again, and I'll just keep on changing it, and when I'm done, then I'll just continue this video. I think it's more or less in a perfect position. So over here, the y, when you give the y 0.1, it comes right on this place. So I think it might be in a decent position to see these objects. Now for actually, we are done with the camera part in this section, but now we need to make some changes in the controller. So now to make some changes in the controller, we need to add some code. So you can go to the Webots library or documentation and check for the codes of the camera, but I already have copied the code over here in my notepad. So I'll just copy this, sorry. So I'll just copy this over here. So what's basically happening is we are creating a camera pointer, and we're creating this get camera method. And one more change that you need to do is go to the name of the camera and change the name. So if the name is camera over here, you need to write camera the same way, but since it's cam, I already changed it since I did it before, so I'm gonna name it to cam. Whatever the name of it is gonna be over here, it's gonna be same, it has to be same in this code. And we're gonna enable the time step. So enabling the time step, it means that every 64 milliseconds it's gonna feed an image into in the camera. So that's basically is our code of this camera, and how you can add camera to our robot or anything that you use, or anything that you use in your project. So for now, let's see whether it works, only the camera, whether it works or not. Yeah, so let's see. So we're done with the code. Let's compile it. I'm sorry, first of all you need to save the environment. I'll just overwrite it. I'll compile the code. I will build it inside of our robot or the camera, and then let's see, let's reset the environment. Let's see whether we can, is the environment visible or not. This is the camera section. Now we haven't started the simulation, so it's all dark. Okay, so it's over here, as you can see that it's showing something, but it's not showing what you're trying to see, because I think the camera is pointing in this direction. So let's see whether we can rotate the camera. So let's go to the camera and try to rotate it in this direction. Yeah, let's try to run it again. Sorry for that. So here's a robot, so let's push it backwards and let's try to run it again. Save the world, and yeah, see, now the camera is pointing in this direction, and we can see the sphere and the cylinder, and since we have also used the obstacle avoidance, it's gonna try to move into some other direction, and it's gonna also detect this certain object. But there is a bit of problem. The problem is whenever the images that you're looking at, these are a bit blurry. Now to fix that part, you can go inside this camera section and you can go to, let's see, the width and the height. You can change that. So basically these are the number of pixels that is visible. So these are only 64 pixels visible, so we can change that to 640, and in the height section we can also change it to 640 as well. So we are increasing the number of pixels by 10 times. And let's change the field of view to 1. That means we'll have a bigger view. So let's see the changes we have made and how it looks. Let's save the world again. Don't ever forget to do that. I'll just override the file over and over again. I'll just see. Yeah, I think it looks a bit better, even though not that great, but still it looks a bit better. You can easily change the number of pixels, and make the quality of the image much better. So now right after this, we're gonna see how you can detect these objects when you are using the camera. So far we have seen that we are adding a camera, and it's in the screen. On the screen, it's actually showing the object that is right in front of it. So now let's see. I'll just minimize it a little bit. How you can detect these these objects. One of the main reasons that why these images might be very blurry, because I have increased the size of the cones and the cylinder. I've scaled it up, and obviously I haven't smoothened the edges as of I haven't smoothened the edges perfectly. If the more bigger the size of the cones or the objects that we have, I think we need to increase the smoothness more, but I haven't done that. So that's one of the main reasons why you can see that the surfaces are very rough. However, if the placement of the camera would have been different, if I would have just increase the scale of the objects just so that you can easily see these objects using the camera. It's easily visible to you. So now as we have added the camera, we can see those objects in this inside this frame. So now we can let's go to the part where you can we need to recognize that the camera is being able to detect certain objects. So for that, we're gonna go inside robot, we're gonna go inside the children, and let's find out where we put the camera object. So it's inside solid, inside the shape, and then we have the camera over here. So now to turn on the recognition, just find out the node or the folder where it says recognition. Sometimes it might be a bit difficult since with time consuming, since there are a lot of things over here. So let's take some time, and yeah, here's it. So it's null right now, so we're gonna make it to true, or just still add the recognition. So we have added the recognition over here, and when you click on it, there are lots of things that are under it. So first of all, maximum range means that the range within which it can recognize, so it's between 0 to 100. And the maximum objects -1, it means that it can recognize or detect infinite number of objects. However, if you change the value to 3 to 4, that means it can detect 3 to 4 objects at a time. Then occlusion true, which means and this thing actually means that if you have, for example, if you have this solid over here and the camera is looking at it, then it will also be able to detect the object that was behind this certain object or whatever this thing is, or wheel. It will be able to see through behind this thing. So that's that's what happens when you make where is it? So we go inside camera. Yeah, that happens when you make occlusion false. If it's false, then it can see behind that this object as well. So now let's go to the camera again. The thing will open. Yeah, the frame color. This frame color is basically you can choose that if it detects any object, what color the frame should be. So it's red. I'll just keep it red, and also the frame thickness, I'll just give it to 3. Yeah, so our work in this part is more or less done. We have turned on the recognition in this camera. However, we need to make some changes in the code. So over here, as you've seen, that we have written the code where we can actually make use of the camera to see the objects. But now we need to turn on the recognition on the camera using the code. So it's going to be the same thing. We're going to use CM and use a pointer over here. So over here we're going to write recognition enable, and we're gonna give the a time step over here. So you're gonna use this time step right over here. So every 64 milliseconds it's gonna try to recognize, or the images are gonna fit inside this camera, and every 64 seconds it's gonna try to recognize the objects. So you can change the time step to actually increase or decrease the time to feed the images and also to recognize. So alright, so let's see whether it works or not. So let's compile it and feed it inside the robot, and I also need to save the environment as well. Okay, let's cancel this, save the environment. I'll just overlap it again. So compile and reset the environment. Yeah, reset it. And now let's play. Let's see what happens. I'll just keep it right over here. Let's see what happens. See, it's being able to, the camera is looking over at this direction, it's being able to see these things, but it's not being able to detect. That means there are no frames to actually see that these objects are within the frame of this camera. Now there's one last thing that you need to do, is you need to go to these objects. So which objects are we talking about? The objects are this cone, the sphere, the cylinder, and also this object. Now you need to go inside these objects and you need to make certain changes. So for example, let's talk about this cone. Let's go to this cone that we created way before. Let's go to this cone, and inside this cone you can see there is a component known as recognition color. So you're going to click on that, and when you click on that, it's going to be set to true, and you can give any color that you want. The first time you click on that, it means that you have enabled it to be recognized. I just gave let's give it a red color. It just doesn't really matter. So same goes for, I've made the change to the cone. Let's make it to the wheel. Go inside the wheel. Let's make the change to the recognition color. Let's give it red as well, just to keep it normal. There we have got the sphere over here, but I'll just make the change to the cylinder only, and let's see what happens. Recognition color, and just change it to red. Okay, so I'll just save and overlap it again. Yeah, overwrite it, I'm sorry, overwritten the file. Let's bring it backwards and create it, just put it on this side. I'll just put it on over here just to show you one thing. Yeah, so if we run this right now, as you can see, it is being able. So I think we need to, like, decrease the frame, and also I think since the objects are really close together, so it's not being able to detect it, give this certain, what can I say, the frame properly. However, if it's wide apart and the frame width are perfectly fine, then it would have been alright. But you can see what I'm talking about. The thing is that when you talk about the sphere, in the sphere we haven't, let's go to the sphere, we haven't selected the object, the recognition color. That is the reason why. Let's go to this part and let's run it again. See, over here it's being able to recognize that there's an object over here, it's a cone, it's a cylinder, there's an object over here, it's a cone, but it's not being able to recognize this object, which is a sphere, because we haven't selected the recognition color. Now for that, just like before, just go to the sphere object over here. We're gonna turn on the recognition color. So let's give it a red, let's give it a red color. And when you do that, it doesn't matter what color you give, let's give it a different color, doesn't really matter. Let's give it a yellow color. But since I clicked on this, see, now it's green. That means it's been selected. Now when I play this, see, it's being able to detect all these things at the same time. So, that it was basically it, like how you can detect all of these images by using a camera. And I've shown you how you can add a camera to your object, and also not only that, you are being able to detect objects by using the camera. So yeah, that was it from this part of obstacle recognition. So thank you very much, everyone.